Okay, everybody, find your seat. Turn your screen on if you're on Zoom, so you can say hi. Turn off the message there. All right, and we'll start the meeting the way we usually do. Good evening, Democrats.
Good evening,
Good evening,
Democrats.
Good
Democrats.
evening.
Good evening, Democrat.
Good evening, Democrats.
That was fine.
You muted us all so you couldn't hear us participate, but everybody here was saying good evening, Democrats, back at you.
Okay, well, let's have everybody unmute. I'll turn the camera around so everyone can see. We'll do there. Okay, and let's go again. Good evening, Democrats.
Good evening,
Democrats.
Democrats.
Okay, and welcome everybody in here, out there. Thanks for being here tonight. Before we start the meeting, I want to acknowledge the events going on in the world, especially in Israel, where I have family, 5 very close family members who live there, and it's been a really tough couple of weeks for many of us in the community. And so I just wanted to take a moment of silence to think about the thousands of civilian innocent lives who passed over the past couple of weeks. Israelis, Palestinians, other Arabs who live in the region. It's been a very difficult time for so many of us, and please continue to reach out to your friends. But for right now, let's take a brief moment of silence. Thank you. So first of all, before we start the content of the meeting, I want to congratulate a couple of people. First of all, I see her here on the Zoom, but we had the Democrat of the Year Awards, the Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt Awards dinner at LA County Democratic Party, and we had 2 recipients from our District 8051. First of all, our own Rent Control Board Chair, Anastasia Foster. Here she is up on the Zoom. And also from West Hollywood, Planning Commissioner Eric Matos, who's also a member of this club. And both of them are members of our 2023 progressive slate of delegates who represents us at the state party. So congratulations to them and all of the other recipients. I also want to take a point of personal privilege to give a shout out to my in-laws who are here in person for the first time, David and Patricia Kronheim. Many of you know Anjali, these are her parents, and David and Patricia are also great progressive activists in their home community, Chester, Pennsylvania. They have been doing some really amazing environmental justice work, and in the last election, they voted out their corrupt mayor. So congratulations to them. Thanks for being here. And as an announcement, the next meeting is here November 15th, Thelma Terry Center, also on Zoom. We're going to have all the Democratic candidates running for district attorney of LA County, including George Gascon, including all of his opponents. It's going to be a great discussion. Lots of different perspectives will be represented there. So looking forward to that. Okay, our first big order of business tonight, we're going to take up a ballot measure that's going to be on the 2024 general election ballot. It's called the Justice for Renters Act. Some of you may have heard about it. Some of you may have even signed to get it onto the ballot. We had a request from the membership to take this item up early so that we can be on the record as an early endorser or maybe an early opponent. We'll see how the vote goes. But the board of this club recommends a yes vote. With that being said, we're going to hear from 4 speakers tonight, 2 who support the measure two who oppose the measure, and we'll alternate back and forth. So first up, we'll welcome Susie Shannon.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Susie Shannon, and I'm the campaign manager for the Justice for Renters Act, and I've been a member of this club since, oh God, the early 2000s. So the Justice for Renters Act merely lifts the ban on rent control that we have here in California and allows our local government to enact or expand rent control. So currently, if you live in the city of LA, you have to live in a building that was built in 1978 or earlier to be under rent control. In San Francisco, it's 1979 or earlier. And in some other cities, it's buildings built in 1995 or earlier. And so what's happened in California is that we now have more people, more tenants who are rent burdened than anywhere in the United States. We also have a growing homeless population of 172,000 people in the state of California. One of the ways that we can help is to limit rent increases so that people can afford to stay in their homes. I'm also a member of SEIU 2015. I'll tell you, I did a workshop for our members a couple of weeks ago, and one of our full-time caregivers was living in her car because she could not find a place to live in Los Angeles. And this also is happening in Unite Here. One of their full-time workers was living in her car and passed away, and they didn't even realize that she was homeless until she had passed away. We know all of these stories. We've all seen growing homelessness. One of the ways to help this situation is to pass the Justice for Renters Act in November 2024. The Democratic Party has supported two iterations of this, Prop 10 in 2018 and Prop 21 in 2020, and neither one of them passed, and so this is our third go around. Santa Monica Democratic Club also in the past has supported these initiatives. And then for this initiative for Justice for Renters, BOE member Tony Vasquez, who represents this area, has endorsed. Senator Ben Allen has endorsed. Unite Here Local 11 has endorsed. California Nurses Association, Lane, Coalition for Economic Survival, many tenant organizations up and down the state of California have already endorsed. When we were collecting signatures to qualify for this ballot initiative, we finished 2 months early. That's how much Californians, expressed to us that they really want this to pass. The people who are disproportionately impacted are people of color, veterans, seniors on a fixed income. So we want to help them, and I hope that you'll vote yes.
Thank you, Susie. And now we'll hear from one of the opponents of the measure, the former president of this club, Jay Johnson. Keep an eye on this. You want to be in this little square there.
Great. Thank you, John, and welcome, everyone. It's good to see everyone again with this club. As a prior rent control board commissioner and planning commissioner and member of the Progressive Landlords and past club president, I urge you to vote no or to abstain on this proposal. We progressive landlords support rent control, but not extreme rent control. This proposal, this initiative, asks you to repeal the existing 1999 statewide law on vacancy decontrol recontrol. This effort to freeze rents on unoccupied vacant rooms, condos, and apartments has been defeated twice before, 2 years ago and 4 years ago. Polling shows it will be defeated again. Why should the reputation of our club be damaged by backing a wrong and losing initiative? Governor Newsom and many Democratic office holders say it is bad for our city, bad for homeowners, bad for condo owners. It's a statewide initiative. It's bad for prospective tenants, bad for new construction, and bad for our apartment supply. This rent freeze means that rental prices could not be changed on empty homes, rooms, apartments, condos, and Airbnbs. Owners would be very reluctant to rent low-priced empty units. This repeal would remove housing from the market or remain vacant. It would be more difficult for prospective tenants to find available rentals. Homeowners could not change the price for new renters if existing renters moved out. Ellis Act removal activity would increase. If young couples wanted to build a family, it'd be much more difficult to find a new place. If home or condo owners rent their residence and want to return, they'd be required to pay $30,000 to $50,000 to reoccupy their own homes, which is the current rule. Mandatory earthquake retrofit and many repairs may not be affordable for many seniors and property owners. This initiative has dire negative implications for you, the city, and the state. I urge you to vote no or abstain on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And now we'll hear from former mayor and co-chair of Santa Monicans for Renters' Rights, Denny Zane.
Thank you, John. Excuse me, I'm not going to use the microphone. I've had a bad cold this last week.
Okay, but
I'm wearing the mask.
Try to stand so that they can see you in Zoom.
All right, let's see.
There you go.
All right, there I am. All right, and so I'm here today in spite of my poor health because I thought it was very important that the truth about this measure and about the Costa-Hawkins Act, which it repeals, be shared with you. I sent you a slide. Can we get that slide up on the?
And unfortunately, my Zoom is being very grumpy right now.
All right, grumpy Zooms are my favorite. Now, this is a rendering of what Costa-Hawkins has done in our community. Now, Costa-Hawkins, you may remember, created vacancy decontrol, as well as prevented any rent control for single-family housing and blocks rent control on any new construction. Well, Santa Monica always had no rent control on new construction, so that's irrelevant. And essentially, single-family homes were not rent controlled, so that's really irrelevant. For us here locally, what really matters is vacancy decontrol, which is where a landlord can increase the rent to whatever if it vacates. So let's look at how that's affected us in Santa Monica. There are about 27,000 rent-controlled units in Santa Monica, of which 20,000, right there, have been vacancy decontrolled at least once since Costa-Hawkins was passed. 6,000 are still occupied by people who were in those units back in 1999. So the units on column 1 are units that have not been vacancy decontrolled. You can see that the median rent for those units are about $1,082 a month. Now, that's actually quite a bit greater than when rent control started, and rents were more like $400 or $500 a month. Can you believe it? Now, where there's been vacancy decontrol, it's $2,500 a month is the median rent. Now, you should learn a couple of things. Well, the other column, almost 2,800, is what happens when a unit becomes decontrolled, vacant now and decontrolled. Look at the gap. Look at the incentive a landlord has to try to press these people out.
That's time. Thanks.
Right? 6,000 people made vulnerable.
Thanks, Denny. Fast. Okay, thanks, Denny. And finally, last but not least, we'll hear from Michael Millman.
I don't need the microphone, but I'm going to try to look here. So the Zoom. I'm a member. I'm a Democrat. Let's see if we can bring truth to power here. I'm not talking to members who own homes north of Montana or condos. I only want to talk tonight to those members who are renters, club members who are renters. You can never vote for this initiative because this initiative will destroy and eliminate 100% of your protection to stay in your unit. I compliment the former mayor. He pointed to the 6,000 tenants who have very low rent for the last 30 years. Forget about those 6,000 tenants. You take down Costa-Hawkins, you take down vacancy decontrol, and those 6,000 tenants lose their protection. They're out. They're gone. They have no further protection. Let me show you the way it works. I own a building close to Patricia Hoffman, 14 units out there. 4 or 5 of those units have legacy tenants who pay very little rent, lower than the $1,000. The other 10 or 12 all pay just below market. They, Denny, run the building, the earthquake retrofit, the roof, the laundry room, the plumbing, the common area. All the expenses are covered. When a unit becomes vacant, we can bring it to market. That is why rent control has worked for 50 years in this state, because of vacancy decontrol, which you want to eliminate. Unit becomes vacant, you rent it for market. Those new rich, wealthy tenants underwrite and subsidize the other tenants, and everybody's happy because the system works, because the wealthy tenants cover it. That is what I'm talking about. That is the danger. You have given those tenants a pass to get to Lancaster, to Palmdale, to San Bernardino. They'll never be protected because there's not enough money. Toys R Us, that's what's going to happen. It's going to collapse.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And let's give a round of applause to all 4 speakers. And for those who are on Zoom who didn't notice, full transparency, the sign fell down during that, but we'll work on it. Okay, so now is there a motion from the membership to take either a yes or a no position?
I'll move.
To support?
Yeah.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
I saw Dan's hand went up first. Okay, so now we will take a vote. So all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. And Natalia, can you help me count?
Yeah.
Everybody on Zoom, raise your hand as well. And of course, this is for just members of the club.
I've got at least 18 in the room. What you got?
Okay, and we have 11 on Zoom.
Derek, are you voting or not?
Okay, so we'll put the hands down. Everybody on Zoom can lower your hands. I'll take care of the last couple. Okay, and now all those opposed to the motion? We have 2 in the room. Anybody on Zoom want to vote no? Okay, so we have 2 in opposition, and any abstentions? We have 1 abstention. Okay, so by my math, the motion carries. So it's a endorsement of the Justice for Renters Act. So thank you, everybody, for presenting.
John, what would the yes count again?
What did it come out to? 29, I think, when you add in the
Yeah,
in-person.
29, 18 in person, 11 on Zoom.
29 total. Yep. Okay, and so now we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is a member of the club came forward to us with a resolution. Deanne Ozaki. She is a parent at the Santa Monica Malibu School District, and she came forward with a resolution that we're going to be considering. So she'll present this resolution. She's got up to 15 minutes total. I know she has a PowerPoint to share. And then after we hear that presentation, we're also going to hear from representatives from the school district to share their perspective on it. So
technical difficulties, so I had to restart my computer to.
okay, got it. So the exact moment that we wanted to see the PowerPoint, that's okay. Why don't we hear from Maria? Did you want to make your announcement now?
Yeah, just basically, I'm making this announcement on behalf of the Board of Education, the chair of the Board of Education. There's going to be a hearing tomorrow, how do we increase work and how we, the blueprint, I guess, and how to increase planning and housing. And it's tomorrow at City Hall, starting at 9:30 to 4:30. And basically a lot of the local, legislators, Glenn Allen,
Yeah, Rick Sloan.
Nonprofit and advocates tapping the California housing crisis. And the goal is to develop a movement of property tax incentives and other initiatives to increase low income housing production. So we tomorrow.
John, we didn't hear that at all, but I believe she was announcing the State Board of Equalization is meeting at Santa Monica City Hall tomorrow, and starting at 9:30. And among the issues that they're going to be talking about is affordable housing. Is that pretty much what she was talking about?
That is correct. Thank you, Patricia.
It could be perfect time to install updates.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that might be good. Okay, yeah, so give us 1 second, folks.
Thank you for bearing with us.
Kylie?
Right. Okay, Dion, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll put this here so everyone can hear.
John?
Yep.
I think you need to make me, it says the host disabled the screen sharing.
There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn the presentation over. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Dion, so then Dion and Rita.
John, I can't hear you.
You're good to go. You can start.
Okay. I want to thank the Santa Monica Dem Club's Executive Board for its endorsement of this resolution in support of clean air in our schools. My name is Dion Ozaki. I'm a parent of 2 students in SMM USD. I'm also a member of the Bond Feasibility Committee and a member of the SMM USD Special Education District Advisory Committee and a member of the Santa Monica Democratic Club. My presentation will summarize the following items. 1, a summary of the issues surrounding clean air in our schools. 2, the laws and recommendations in this area. 3, the benefits of clean indoor air in our schools. 4, SMM USD's purported concerns. 5, SMM USD's sources of funding for clean air. And 6, my proposed Santa Monica Democratic Club resolution. When talking about clean air, we are referring to two things. The first is ventilation, and the second is filtration. Ventilation refers to increasing the amount of outdoor air that comes indoors and lowering the concentration of indoor air pollutants. When talking about ventilation, we are generally referring to either air change rate or air change per hour. An air change rate is a number of times every hour that new air from the outside enters a room and is mixed and exchanged with old air from inside. Filtration refers to removing very small particles of contaminants from the air that stays and recirculates through a building or a classroom. When talking about filtration, we are generally referring to the minimum efficiency reporting value, or MERV. Generally speaking, the higher the level of the MERV filter, the smaller the particles it's able to filter. This chart shows the difference in filtration between MERV 8, MERV 11, and MERV 13 filters. As you can see, what MERV 13 filters are able to filter that MERV 8 is not are mold spores, car fumes and smog, tobacco smoke, smoke from wildfires, bacteria, virus carriers, and microscopic allergens. MERV 13 or higher filtration is recommended by the Department of Education, the CDC, the EPA, ASHRAE, and the National Air Filtration Association, among others. In addition, the California Department of Public Health recommends a ventilation rate of 6 to 12 air changes per hour. Studies have shown that clean indoor air in our schools improves the health of students, teachers, and staff, and improves student performance and outcomes. In 2022, AB 2232 was signed into law. It requires, among other things, that schools in California use filtration that reaches MERV 13 levels or higher when feasible. Given SMMUSD's significant sources of funding, it is feasible for SMMUSD to use MERV 13 filtration or higher. In August of 2023, after more than 2 years of using MERV 13 filtration to keep our schools safe, SMMUSD's Facilities Department removed all of our MERV 13 filters and replaced them, in most cases, with the inferior MERV 8 filters. Laws and recommendations. AB 2232 was introduced by California Assembly member Kevin McCarthy and signed into law by Governor Newsom on September 29, 2022. It provides that it is a policy of this state that school facilities provide a healthy indoor environment for students, teachers, and other occupants, including but not limited to healthy indoor air quality and adequate ventilation with outdoor air. It requires, among other things, that schools install filtration that achieves MERV levels of 13 or higher when feasible. It was supported by the California State PTA, the California Federation of Teachers, the California Teachers Association, the California Faculty Association, the Community Action to Fight Asthma, the Natural Resources Defense Council, and the U.S. Green Building Council, among others. AB 841 was authored by California Assembly member Phil Ting and signed into law by Governor Newsom on September 30, 2020. It established the School Energy Efficiency Stimulus Program, which is comprised of 2 grant programs, one of which, referred to as CalShape, authorized funding to school districts for assessing, maintaining, and repairing or upgrading school ventilation systems, including replacing filters. Grants were open to schools in underserved communities in September of 2021, and then open to all eligible California schools, including basic aid districts, in August of 2022. SMMUSD meets the eligibility requirements for CalShape because it, 1, is the school district, 2, has schools located in the service territory of Southern California Edison, and 3, owns or rents the sites on which its schools are located. CalShape. Even though I notified the district of the grant program on September 7, 2023, SMMUSD has not applied for CalShape, while many peer districts, including other basic aid districts, have. My research indicates that there is no matching of funds requirement under CalShape. So long as a district stays within the scope of the grant limitations, no additional funding by the district is required. The following is a very small sample of some of the districts that have received their notices of proposed awards. As you can see, I highlighted in bold all of the basic aid districts that have received their notices of proposed awards, including Beverly Hills, Newport Mesa, Palo Alto, Mountain View, Carlsbad, Cupertino, and Calistoga Joint, and many, many, many other districts. MERV 13 higher filtration is recommended by many health organizations, such as the Center for Disease Control, the California Department of Public Health, and the LA County Department of Public Health. The Department of Education, the Environmental Protection Agency, ASHRAE, and the National Air Filtration Association, and others also recommends MERV 13 filtration or higher. In addition, the California Department of Public Health recommends a ventilation rate of 6 to 12 air changes per hour. The benefits of clean indoor air. MERV 13 or higher filtration and proper ventilation are recommended by many respected health organizations. Upgraded filtration and proper ventilation decrease long and short-term health problems such as coughs, eye and skin irritations, allergies, and headaches. Exposure to allergens, smoke, and other air contaminants exacerbates asthma and other respiratory illnesses. Asthma is one of the leading causes of student absenteeism and affects 1 in every 13 children. Over the past few years, there have been problems with our facilities in SMMUSD. At least 4 of our Santa Monica schools have recently experienced water intrusion or leaks, which resulted in mold. Wildfires have also impacted our community in the past. Upgraded filtration would minimize the impact of these issues in our schools. Studies have shown that high-quality indoor air in schools, 1, decreases absenteeism and learning loss, 2, increases student, teacher, and staff productivity, and 3, improves student performance and outcomes. In terms of DEI, health issues and absenteeism caused by a lack of quality indoor air have a greater impact on our at-risk students and our medically fragile students, teachers, and staff. This is because, among other things, there is an unequal access to quality health care. There is an inability of our socioeconomically disadvantaged students to supplement through private tutors when absent, and there's a lack of childcare and or income loss when our SED students are sick and at home. SMMUSD's purported concerns. SMMUSD's Chief Operations Officer has stated that using MERV 13 filters will reduce the life of our existing HVAC. However, despite repeated requests from the community, he failed to provide any data to support his claim. In fact, when asked, the Director of Maintenance confirmed that any potential impact on our HVAC would be minimized if the MERV 13 filters were replaced when dirty and the doors and windows were kept closed. In addition, a representative from SMMCTA, which is our teachers union, called one of our HVAC manufacturers, who advised her that using MERV 13 filters would not reduce the life of our HVAC. Even LAUSD, which is the second largest school district in the nation, has been able to continue MERV 13 filtration in all of its schools. SMMUSD's Chief Operations Officer has also stated that MERV 13 filtration district-wide costs approximately $310,000, which is a nominal amount given our basic aid status. That breaks down to $110,000 for the increase in cost of MERV 13 filters over MERV 8 filters, an additional $200,000 in total compensation for 2 full-time techs whose only job it is to replace filters. SMMUSD's facilities department is comparing apples to oranges. Prior to the pandemic, SMMUSD only turned on HVAC when it was either too hot or too cold in the classrooms. Now, our HVAC is running the entire school day. The more the HVAC is running, the more it filters and the dirtier the filters become. Whether we use MERV 8 or MERV 13 filters, the filters will need to be changed more frequently. Accordingly, a more accurate estimate of the cost of MERV 13 filters district-wide is between $150,000 to $170,000 annually. Again, this is district-wide, and this is a nominal amount, especially when you consider the amount of funding SMMUSD receives. SMMUSD's sources of funding. SMMUSD is a basic aid district, which puts us in the top 10% of California districts in terms of state funding. Bonds are used for facilities and other capital improvements such as HVAC. Between 2006 and 2018, Santa Monica and Malibu have passed over $1.36 billion in bonds. SMMUSD will likely seek another large bond in 2024. In addition, SMMUSD receives approximately $40 million annually from the City of Santa Monica from parcel and use taxes and the joint use agreements. CalShape. As I mentioned above, SMMUSD meets the eligibility requirements but has not applied for CalShape. Based on the number of schools in our district, which is 16, and the proposed awards announced for districts with similar numbers of schools, SMMUSD could receive between $1.5 and $2 million under CalShape. If you look at the chart below, you will see I highlighted Palos Verdes Peninsula USD and Bellflower USD. PV USD with 16 schools received a filtration award of $1.58 million. Bellflower with 15 schools received a filtration award of $1.8 million. And as you can see, I highlighted a few schools that are basic aid districts. Beverly Hills with 4 schools received $652,000. Newport Mesa, basic aid district with 30 schools, received almost $3.6 million under CalShape. My proposed Santa Monica Democratic Club resolution. The proposed resolution states, the Santa Monica Democratic Club requests that SMMUSD, 1, immediately reinstate MERV 13 or higher filtration in all of its schools. 2, ensure ventilation rates which achieve 6 to 12 air changes per hour. 3, add portable air purifiers to classrooms and other areas where students, teachers, and staff gather when needed. And 4, install HVAC units designed for and capable of properly functioning with MERV 14 or higher filtration when any HVAC unit is replaced or newly installed. Some people have asked me why we need item number 3 if we're achieving MERV 13 filtration and proper ventilation. Having portable air purifiers available is important when our HVAC is malfunctioning or when large amounts of smoke from wildfires are being brought into the classroom through the HVAC. Finally, as a progressive district in a blue city, SMMUSD should not pick and choose which democratic initiatives to comply with. Our district is uniquely positioned to comply with AB 2232 and the ventilation standards recommended by many reputable organizations. Now is the time to do what's right for all of our students, teachers, and staff. I have sent 13 emails since August 1st, 2023. I've made 1 public comment at a school board meeting on August 17, 2023, and I've had 2 meetings with the facilities department to discuss ventilation and filtration on January 12, 2022, and 1 on August 29, 2023, with representatives from PTA Council, SMMCTA, SEIU, and school board member Alicia Magano in attendance.
Sorry, Deanne, we're at the cutoff point, but we appreciate the presentation. Let's give a round of applause to Dion. Let's if you can stop, if you can, yeah, there we go. And stop sharing. And now we'll welcome from this oh yeah, Dr. Shelton's going to start, and then
on behalf of the school. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to, so
they can see you right there.
I wanted to respond. We were just made aware this week of this resolution coming to you. I like anything else, you want to respond to your constituents. You are our educational partners, but I wanted to share some things with you. Our district is fully committed to what Dion has shared, to ensuring the highest indoor quality as feasible. We welcome an opportunity to discuss our community air quality standards, status of our systems with this group. Plans for future installations can help unpack AB 2232 and other aspects of the issue. I would respectfully ask that before you adopt any type of resolution, that the district be afforded the opportunity to share information with you in detail so that you have all of the information that we have and that you know exactly what we have done. We're not saying you to determine, to tell you what to do. We want to provide you with information and detailed information. I want to assure you that we take this issue seriously and we are in compliance with all laws. And I want to say that again, we're not violating any laws, codes, and recommendations from the state and the Los Angeles County Office of Education. In many cases, we are exceeding the law and have been told by professionals who work with multiple districts that our air quality exceeds that of most school districts. In 2015, just a short history of what's going on, SMMUSD only had air conditioning in 15% of our classrooms. In 2018, the Board of Education approved a project upgrading our heating, air conditioning, and ventilation systems. And I go back to that year, 2018. We're at 2023. So it's a short period of time that we just installed about $40 million of bond money. Air conditioning and ventilation systems bringing us up to 90% currently. So 90% of our schools have ventilation and heating, air conditioning, and ventilation systems that have been upgraded. Utilizing $40 million in bond forms from ES in 2012 and SMS in 2012. As time goes on and we replace systems that are now only a few years old, we will continue to upgrade in compliance with the best practices and current laws. This is a complex issue with financial implications that local taxpayers need to be aware of. So all I'm asking this evening is to give us an opportunity to share with you before you do a resolution, but allow us to come with our team to get in front of you, allow you to ask questions, us give you a detailed outline of what the process is that we've taken over time to ensure that we have the highest air quality. But I remind you, our updated systems occurred in 2018. And to not be good with our money is what we're trying not to do at this point. We're trying to ensure that everything we do is with substance, with care, and concern for our community. And I would ask, as I said before, that you consider allowing us and our team to come stand before you and share in detail a presentation about the process and what has occurred over time with our district and our air quality ventilation. And I remind you, this was adopted and they said feasible in January of 2023. This was adopted at the beginning of this current year. So I just want to make sure everybody was clear on what occurred in that time frame and what we have done with our ventilation HVAC system since 2018 when we started to upgrade things and make sure that our students are safe. Thank you.
Okay, so I see some hands up, so I'll go in order. Councilmember Torosis.
Thanks, John. I just have a quick question for the school district. If we knew about this and we are saying that we're financially concerned, which obviously I get having to balance the finances, why haven't we gone after the available funding that was mentioned that other school districts have gone after? Is there a reason that we haven't been proactive on that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to get an answer on that question from Carrie Upton, the COO of the district.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Carrie Upton, Chief Operations Officer.
Yeah, right.
Yes, we have reviewed the CalShape and other funding measures with our various funding. We have a couple funding consultants and also energy consultants who work with us, and we've looked into that. We did not see that that is a viable choice for us at this time. We don't really have a very good project to put forward that would do this because we've just completed a lot of that work and we have new equipment. We're far ahead of a lot of districts with what we're doing with our ventilation system. So at this time, the recommendation we've gotten from our consultants who really know this and would have to help us get through this has said that we don't really have a viable thing to put forward.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, now we'll go to Tricia Hoffman.
Hi all. I think that this issue is a no-brainer. We want the best air for our students. We want the best care for our students, and this is one of the possible ways to get there. It may not be the only way. I don't know that for sure. I think that I would like to postpone our vote on the resolution until January. We have a date certain. We will bring it back. We will talk about it at that time. But I would like to find out more from Carrie and the district on what they're doing, how they're meeting the standards to make children as safe as possible. So I am going to move that we postpone our vote on the resolution until our January general meeting.
And I'd like to second that motion.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. So everybody here heard that, right? So there's a motion on the floor now to postpone the vote until the January meeting, which will be on January 31st. Yeah, question regarding the motion. Yeah. Well, I'll ask Dion. Do you want to speak to that, Dion? I mean, what's your feeling about the time sensitivity?
I think there's a serious time sensitivity. I think first of all, CalShape. I mean, the district probably should be a little bit more up to speed on this. Good news if they have extended the deadline for applying for this round. If we miss this round, we will miss the opportunity to do the major round where we can actually receive funding for our repairs. Right now it's assessing, and it also, the assessing component covers filters. So I'm a little confused. I also know that our Discovery building HVAC is so malfunctioning that they've literally turned it off. So we have no filtration and no ventilation going on. You can talk to any Samuel High student, teacher, staff member, they know what's going on. And for them to say that we don't have HVAC that needs to be assessed is kind of concerning. My concern has always been the holidays. We always have a surge in respiratory illnesses when we come back from breaks. SMMUSD is closing on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for Thanksgiving. We are going to close for 2 weeks during winter break. If we wait, we are going to miss that opportunity to put in upgraded filtration prior to return from winter break and from Thanksgiving. And we always see a surge every single break. Even this summer, we saw a surge in respiratory, COVID, RSV, anything else. So to me, it's very time sensitive.
Okay, thanks. And is there somebody who supports the motion to postpone who wanted to speak as well, or regarding the time sensitivity? Sure, Luis.
Yeah, so I think for me,
here, if you don't mind, just so the people on Zoom can hear.
Hi, Luis Castañón. Hi, Zoom. I think for me, I'm supportive of the postponing of the motion. I think for me, what I'm interested is just hearing from the district, because they have consultants who looked at the cow shape and what recommendations would, just to be able to see the recommendations that the consultants did on that whole process, to see why the cow shape didn't pan out, and then all the other grant opportunities that are out there for changing that filtration system. So for me, it's just about getting more information, I think, at this point. And if the only sense of urgency is that we might miss this round of cow shape, perhaps there's other grants that we might be able to apply for in the future.
Thanks, Luis. Okay, so now we'll have a vote on the motion.
Wait, John, am I allowed to do a motion to amend the motion? A friendly amendment?
Yeah, you can make an amendment, and then we'll see if it's friendly with the maker and seconder.
Okay. If we're going to postpone the vote, I'm requesting that the vote not be January, that it move to our November meeting, which gives us more than a month. And the district has been aware of this issue since August, but that gives the district more than a month to meet with representatives of the Democratic Club.
Okay, I think
I'm happy.
Okay, so let's see if it's a friendly amendment first. So we'll go to Patricia.
Okay, it's as people who are members of the club may have heard me say this a million times. There's no such thing as a friendly amendment unless and that once a motion is made and seconded, it belongs to the body, not the maker. There are organizations like our city council that have in their rules such a thing as a friendly amendment, but I would love to be able to move in November, but I don't think that we're ready to. I think it will take a little more organizing than that. And Deanne, you've done a great job of your report, and I really want to go there with you, but I want to make sure that that's the only pathway to take, rather than that there might be other ways. So I don't accept it as a friendly amendment, I'm sorry to say.
Okay,
then I have another request, John.
And John Erickson, yes, she could make a substitute motion, but then that would be voted on.
Right.
We love parliamentary procedure.
Sure, yeah. Oh yeah, Dion, go ahead.
And then I guess the other question or request is this going to be by ballot, by secret ballot? This vote on this on this.
It will be a secret ballot, yeah. If a member requests it, then it will be.
I mean, if you really want to make it a secret ballot, I don't exactly understand the reason for a secret ballot on this, but if you want to make it a secret ballot, we can't oppose, because our bylaws for the club say that a person can request a secret ballot. Right. It will take up a whole lot more time to do it by a secret ballot, but we can do it.
Yeah. Point of order, sure.
The person offered up an amendment, and so if I understand correctly, following procedure, you vote on the amendment.
I think it would be a substitute motion in order to vote on it. Is that right? Okay.
She needs to re-propose.
Right. Okay. So Dion, in order to change it to the November 15th meeting, instead of doing it as an amendment, you would just make a substitute motion that we could vote on first. Before you do that, though, I'm going to go to Isabel, who has her hand up.
It just seems like what this person said, they would like to have a chance that, like they just found out about this a week ago, a chance to come back.
I'll restate what she's saying.
So I was
okay.
Like how long would that take?
Okay, so really quickly, first for Zoom, Isabel asked how long the district needs to be prepared to make their response.
Good question.
They're asking for, they're saying January would be preferred.
What I need is to be able to look at what was given. I only saw it yesterday. Right. So now we have to sit with a meeting with our team to provide a plan to share what we're doing, how we're doing, and January gives us everything we've done is planned out. Right. You know, I know my calendar. You talk about November. I can't say that I will be.
So Dr. Shelton is saying that they need to be able to sit with the meeting and watch what was presented by Dion, and that's going to take a bit of time before they're able to fully respond to all the points in the presentation. They said that Dr. Shelton said that would be perfect. January would be perfect for them.
That's the only reason.
And Isabel clarified if it was possible to do it earlier, and he said December would be impossible, but January is when they could do it. Okay, John Erickson.
Sorry, just trying to unmute. I have a question for Deanne. I get the air filtration system process, but like, isn't this more just about like how gross people are and not washing their hands with like the rise of respiratory disease? Like, I get filters work, maybe, I don't know. Like, I have a filter in my house and I'm still sick emotionally and spiritually, but you know, like, but I don't know, like I'm just trying to understand the science in a way because I want to support you because I was watching your presentation. It was really, really thorough. So I'm trying to understand the urgency, and I'm wondering if a campaign on making sure people stay the home and wash their hands is more important at this time. But because I hear the passion, so.
I'm a big believer in all protocols, right? Whatever you can do to keep, you know, especially with our kids. So yes, wash your hands, you know, hand sanitize, all that stuff. But I mean, it's pretty clear that MERV 13 is what we turned to during COVID, and what allowed us to reopen our schools. And so, you know, but this is not just about COVID, but if you're going to talk about respiratory illnesses, yeah, I mean, RSV, COVID, all of that stuff, upgraded filtration is really important for that. And so for me, again, that urgency is, we have seen, I mean, I've been in the district for 11 years. I have been in this COVID world, or COVID-ish, COVID, post-COVID, wherever we're at now, world for 3 years. I know what happens after every break. And so I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little frustrated. I'm kind of new to this whole parliamentary process and all that. But I reached out to the district the first time on August 1st. So they have had already 2.5 months to prepare a response. I mean, unless they don't believe in responding to members of the public. At that meeting that I had in September, we had representatives from SMMCTA, which is our teachers union, from PTA Council, which is our parent organization, and SCIU, which is our service workers. And they all had concerns. And for people not to realize at that point that the community was concerned over clean air, I guess I'm struggling to see why we need to wait to January. And if I wasn't concerned with a return from winter break and that increase in respiratory illnesses, I wouldn't be making a big deal over this at all. I've always had that time frame in mind. I try to get this to stop being removed over the summer. I wanted to reopen our schools. I wanted to come back from summer break with the filtration, and they removed it.
Yeah, Craig.
Okay, and then.
Okay, so we have a request to move the previous question, which is Patricia's motion that's been seconded. So we'll go forward with that unless there's any.
Are we going to do? I requested the secret ballot. Can we do the secret ballot?
Yep. Yeah, we can do the secret ballot. So we'll get the ballot out to everybody who's registered to this meeting. It'll go out and we'll set it for about a half an hour so everyone has a chance to vote while we move forward with the rest of the meeting.
And then the amendment, which is, I guess, no such thing as a friendly amendment. How does that work?
You have to do it. It's in our bylaws. It's just to answer the question. Our bylaws require that if someone requests a secret ballot, we have to. We'll get it to everybody who's present at the meeting.
There was John, there was no amendment. The amendment was not made. It was not seconded, and it wasn't accepted. So I did want to point out one very, very small contradiction. I want to do it respectfully, is that if people come back from being away from school with a surge in respiratory illnesses, it sounds like the respiratory illness problems or the lack of filtration and what's going on during the vacations, not what's going on at school where, you know, the surge die out. But that's neither here nor there. I think that Deanne asked for a secret ballot. So, and John just said that a secret ballot is going to happen, and the question has been called. So I think that the procedure is to move forward with the vote.
Okay.
Okay. Just one last question is, I'm looking at the chat, and I don't know, somebody, I don't know if they're a member or not, said they were going to second the earlier date, and I don't know how this whole thing. Listen, I've not done this before, so I don't quite understand.
The question has been called, so it's now the operative question.
Okay, so we're going to move forward with the secret ballots because a second substitute motion was not made. So, you know, if you feel that we need to do this earlier, then you can vote no on the resolution. I mean, on the vote to postpone. So we're going to get that set up while we hear from the rest of the meeting here. So first of all, we're going to.
John, can I ask one quick question? It was my understanding that we're not having a general meeting in December. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, because that was why I didn't choose December because I knew we weren't having a meeting then.
And with due respect to everybody on all sides of this issue, I don't think it's a good topic for a holiday party. So we're going to have the vote. Those who are members who RSVP'd for the meeting will get a ballot in your email, just like last month for the endorsement votes. And if you have any issue receiving the email, you can let me know. Reach out to me, or you can reach out to one of the board members to let us know that you didn't get it. But we'll be taking care of that in the back. In the meantime, we're going to move forward. So we have our panel on the focus on education coming up in just a moment. But first, we're going to hear directly from our new superintendent, Dr. Antonio Shelton, who started in that role earlier this year. Before that, he served as the executive director of secondary schools, and he's also a former Seminole High principal. And Dr. Shelton's an experienced educator with 23 years in the field, including 18 years in administrative positions, and is recognized as an intelligent and innovative leader who's dedicated to improving educational outcomes for students. Let's please welcome Dr. Antonio Shelton.
And John, can we also please send condolences to Dr. Shelton and the entire school community on the passing of Dr. Jacqueline Mora, who was just a wonderful part of the administrative team for the school district.
Absolutely. Okay, here you go.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you once again. And this is the part I want to talk about, about the opportunity. And thank you so much for sharing that. Dr. Mora has been missed. Believe me, our district has missed her since her passing. Her contribution to our school community was tremendous. Dr. Mora was our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. And this past Saturday, we had a memorial service for her, where one of the big things that she brought to our district with our board president was the mariachi band, and our students played during her memorial service in the reception. And it was a wonderful remembrance of her life and the legacy that she left for our school community. One of those things was the mariachi band, and also the fact that over 100+ students were reclassified. And she created a celebration that we've had for the last 2 years for those students who have been reclassified in our EL program. And I just know that she is smiling down on us because of the work that she's continued to see us do with our students. One of the things I wanted to just share real quick with you is just my vision for our school district. We have done some amazing work around the social justice standards that our school board adopted several years ago to ensure that all of our students' needs are met through standards-based curriculum. One of the things that I must say is we led that process. Our board was progressive about that approach. And then came along LACO and the rest of the state around the social justice standards, which led us to our work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We started our school year off with a big bang, making sure that everybody understood the importance of their story. Each one of you in this room and online has a story. It's whether or not it's been told. And whether or not it connects with the audience that you're sharing that story with. Oftentimes we overlook that when we go into a classroom. And that is key to us building a connection. Someone said, how do I learn from someone I don't like? It's very difficult. If I don't like you, I don't want to listen to you. And our kids are the same way. So what we encourage people starting off this year is to start with your story. Where you're from, who are you? How do you connect to those individuals that are sitting in front of you? We shared with them the importance of diversity in your classroom, how to embrace that diversity. We also talked about curiosity. How do we continue to encourage our students to take risks? Because our students have to take risks, and through curiosity, they do that. We also spoke to empowerment. How do we empower our students to connect to what's going on around them? It's by them understanding who they are and who's teaching them, and valuing their culture and what they bring to the classroom. The last part of that is belonging, creating a sense of belonging in the space. When you walk into the room, how do I connect? How do I feel? How do I approach what's happening? All of this goes back to our goals, that all students throughout LCAP, that all students are all graduates are socially just and ready for college and career, that English learners will become proficient in English while engaging in a rigorous, culturally and linguistically responsive standards-aligned core curriculum. And last of all students and families engage in safe, well-maintained schools that are culturally responsive and conducive to the 21st century learning. And you say, how do we do this? You do this through the social justice standards. You do this through the DEI work that we're doing and a viable curriculum. Many people have asked us about the math curriculum that the state has shared. And we're going to speak to that, and I'll share about that. But one of the things that you need to know about our school, our high school specifically, we have gone above and beyond, and we continue to go above and beyond. All of our students at the high school, we require that they take 3 years of math. They start off with Algebra 1, they go to geometry, they go to Algebra 2. If it doesn't go so well, we figure out how to repeat that opportunity and give them another chance to get there. Our ultimate goal is that all of our students have 4 years of math, ultimately being able to reach calculus. We even offer multivariable calculus. Some of our students, and this was the focus of our school board, making sure that all of our students' needs were being met. We even have geometry and Algebra 1 in our middle schools. So if a student is accelerating, they're accelerating, and we support those students. We support our students at the high end, and those who are at Promise, who have an opportunity to grow, and us as the educators, allowing us to provide intervention. We are working this year to build stronger capacity of our teachers to meet the needs of our students. Some people said there was learning loss during COVID. We are aware of that. And we put in place opportunities for intervention and support. And we continue those opportunities for intervention and support throughout. We were fortunate because our educators were able to rise to the occasion during those years and during distance learning, as we did not experience learner loss that you hear about in the media. We are proud of our educators and appreciate their hard work and their efforts during this difficult time. When many had their own children at home, we continued to monitor our sites for illness, and we were one of the first school districts to go back to school. Yes, it was modified and it was a struggle, but we made it happen to ensure that our kids could get a connection, especially around social emotional learning, which led us to having a TOSA, who is a teacher who works with our teachers in our district around social emotional learning, helping to build curriculum, infusing understanding that we need to connect to our students in different ways. We also are working on culturally relevant curriculum. We have brought in several presenters to our schools. For instance, I was up at Roosevelt, and specifically they were talking about how do we bring in reading that the kids can relate to, that they can relate to their culture, their background, and embrace that. It is important that we understand that there's a foundational piece that has to happen. And that foundational piece comes through our DEI, our diversity, equity, and inclusion work, along with the social justice standards, which allow us to think about how we can approach learning with our students. Also focusing on project-based learning, where we can do a project over time, allowing kids to take risks, take opportunity and chance on what it is that they're doing, and then help them reach the goal that they have in mind with a rubric in sight. It's so important that we teach kids how to collaborate, something that we're doing within our school district. I could speak to you about all of these things all night, but I won't. But I want to make sure that you understand there are some things that we have done over the course of this school year that support what we believe are at the forefront of our future. You will see at Samo High coming up are the academies. Right now, we have a thriving academy where we have an English teacher, we have a engineering teacher, along with a physics teacher, all three working together with a group of kids. And in that class, they get 3 different classes in one. And what we come up with is a career and technical education and a certificate when they graduate from school. And what will happen is we will continue this trend over time, building future engineers. We started the Health and Wellness Academy at Samo High that we will go into a new building in the fall where you will see opportunities growing in our career and technical education. Ultimately, we'll have a public policy class as well in that same space, followed by I can't think of the name, Carrie, what is it? The name of our last academy around broadcasting and communication. We'll have that. These are the things we believe through project-based learning that will support what we're doing with our students around career and technical education. Our EL students, we will continue to reclassify. We've got another phase. Although Dr. Mora is not here, she was really focused on it. We will carry out the work. Now we need to figure out how do we follow up with those students to ensure that the work we did to get them reclassified, also that there's intervention to support them throughout the years after the reclassification occurs for our EL students. Those are key elements of what is happening within our school district. We are making sure that we're working on whether or not are we duplicating programming. You know, as I'm looking at a budget that becomes tighter and tighter each year, you all know inflation occurs. We are trying to streamline what is happening with our programming to ensure that our programming is actually, we're getting the results that we need from our programs. As that program is at JAMS, does it work at Lincoln? If it's not working at Jams and not working at Lincoln, we don't continue to do it. But we look at what works and then evaluate that. I'm working with our principals right now. They're gathering all of this information to see what are you doing at your school? Can that be replicated? It's funny sometimes we do a great job and we don't know we're doing a great job until we get these results and they show that we've done a great job. The question is, how do you get there? Oftentimes we don't reflect on the fact how we got there. I always said if you're staying up all night to get those results, we need to figure out another plan. But if you're not staying up all night and what you're doing in that classroom is working, we then need to replicate that same thing at Jams, at Lincoln, at McKinley, to ensure that our kids are getting the most out of the education that we're providing. I don't have anything else, but I wanted to make sure that you understood where we're coming from, what we're doing, and how we're getting there. And I believe that we have some good things happening. I know that we will accomplish some great things. I know Keith has some questions that he'll ask of me, so I won't go into detail of some of the things I have listed here, but I will share those with those questions that are asked of me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shelton, and don't go anywhere because you can join the panel right now. We'll bring everybody up. So first of all, let's welcome our recently elected school board member, Alicia Mignano. And of course, we'll welcome back Dr. Shelton and of course, why not? And we'll welcome the co-chair of Community for Excellent Schools, Nicole Ferries. And from the California Democratic Party Children's Caucus Chair, Sarah Roos. And our moderator this evening is former school board member and the treasurer of the Santa Monica Democratic Club, Keith Coleman.
It is a pleasure to be here with everyone tonight. And I just want to echo what Dr. Shelton and John had described, really with respect to Dr. Mora, and gratitude for her kindness, her empathy, and her deep professionalism in trying to create an environment where students could be their best self. It's a really incredible person. And I'm thankful for this wonderful panel here that is with us. And I promise to try and make this not like content for oil. And we're going to have a good time when we're out of row. No medicine tonight. And it was funny when my grandmother used to do that back in Kentucky. And my sister would get sick and then have to do that, but I never got sick. So this is the education panel here for the Dem Club, and I just wanted to kind of start off by saying, clearly the remarks that Dr. Shelton just provided us is really a testament to the leadership and the history of the district. We have a couple of other board members here with us, and also with our former superintendent, Dr. Crotty, that we're really at a place in the district where things are going very well. And it's really foundational in nature, and we're going to continue to build on that base for all students. There is work to do, and as Dr. Shelton had described, folks here in the district are ready to roll up their sleeves and do that work on behalf of this community. So the first question really is, this is for Ms. Ferries, for Nicole. And the question is that the world is really full of dissonance, cognitive, physical, mental. In the midst of this, we do have a pragmatic optimism that remains and positive works around us. And I was hoping that Nicole, you could share with us a few of the other positive things that within the SEPs and within the district. I know Dr. Shelton talked about some of those things, the PBL and academies and et cetera. But I know that there was a story that you told us about the engineering pathway, and it's kind of personal. But if you could share that with us, that would be wonderful.
Right. Well, I just want to say hello, good evening, and thank you all for sticking around for the panel. I'm Nicole Ferris. I'm a co-chair of Community for Excellent Public Schools, and I'm also a parent in the district. I have 2 children who have already been through K through 12, and then I have a 15-year-old at SAMO. He's a 10th grader. So with that, we can expect that I've seen some of the changes in the district and have seen kids going through with my kids. So I think that we are really headed in a positive direction. One data point that points that out is the niche has graded our high schools as in the top 4% of high schools. That's really an amazing statistic. US News and World Report has done the same. So I think things are really headed in a positive direction. From a personal standpoint, my son, who just graduated from UPenn, Samuel High grad, but he has his friends who have gone through Samuel High as well. One of them went through the Project Lead the Way, the engineering pathway, and he's at West Point right now studying engineering as well. I think that we have a great launch pad for our kids here. That's really what I wanted to say.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Nicole. Do appreciate that. I'll switch gears here and go over to Sarah. And as John had described, she's with KDEM and she's the chair of the Children's Caucus, and also representing Assembly District 55, I believe, was, as she described to me when we had our brief talk, that was very diverse in terms of its kind of social demographics. I was curious, when we were talking, you said that many say that there's an interaction and a robust engagement that's crucial to democracy. And yet oftentimes folks describe that they may not know how to do and what to do when it comes to kind of participating in that kind of a social contract. And so I was curious, how is KDEM and the caucus planning on assisting the range of working individuals, both kind of hourly and salaried, to really engage more consistently in the education arena in like K through 12?
Well, thank you. It's a great question. So I think that the question is about how citizens can and should interact with their schools and the education system as part of your necessity as a democracy and responsibility as a citizen to do that. I guess you're asking what plans we have in KDEM to facilitate that. I'm not sure. It's a good question, and I'd like to invite anyone who has a good idea for that to step up and join us. I think that these kinds of forum are really helpful for that, and to understand how children's issues are everyone's issues. Everyone started as a child and they continue as a child, and we have a responsibility to teach them well in order that we have a democracy that is well reflective of what we want it to be. So just on an easy sort of functional question, many parents have issues about how to interact with the school board when to hold these meetings. Should they be during the day? Should they be at night? I personally, as a user, as it were, think that it should get moved around. Do some nighttime meetings, some daytime meetings. I'm not sure that KDEM was particularly active in encouraging that, but I think that it is important to engage people to understand how to engage with their school boards, and these kinds of sort of functional questions can be addressed pretty easily. So I would just encourage more user friendliness in all directions. I think I do have a thought. This is a really perfect opportunity for me to just talk about maybe getting involved with your PTA if you have a child at school, going to a PTA meeting. PTA, especially here in Santa Monica and Malibu, we're very active. I'm also a member of PTA, and we are
work in partnership with the school district, with the school board, with the city to advocate for children in our community. Then you can also join CEPS, Community for Excellent Public Schools, another organization that's made up of parents, former parents, and community members who are interested as well in what's happening in our schools, because it's that, you know, all the children are our children. So we really have to keep that in mind. So I really appreciate you all having us here, because we all are just looking out for our kids.
Good evening, Democrats. I'm Alicia Magnano, and I am honored to be here. I am on the school board, and I'm lucky to have had your support during my campaign. So here I am. I think that is a great suggestion, changing things up and to increase participation and really be able to hear more voices from our community. I think that the pandemic, as hard as it was, it did bring hybrid meetings. And so at least in the Santa Monica Malibu School District, we are able to use this technology. And a lot of our public is able to be at home, cooking, taking care of children, and at the same time have the opportunity to participate, be able to make those comments from the comfort of wherever they are, at a baseball practice, at home, making dinner, whatever it is. And so that has been really helpful. And we also, all of our meetings are recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. I encourage everyone to go and check that out. We have a great communications team that always has additional information as well. But I do think that you bring up a really great point. And also, unfortunately, some of our DEC district advisory committees during the pandemic, we were able to hold those meetings fully on Zoom. And now, because of the changes in the law, we have been forced to bring them back in person. And so we are looking at making that better. Our district is committed to hearing as many voices. But yes.
Yeah, I think that hearing part is important. So it's not just the opportunity to participate, which is incumbent on us as citizens, but it is also begged from us as citizens to our elected leaders that they hear and listen and hear that representatively. So in order to have these meetings at a diversity of times, if you will, it enables you to hear from different socioeconomic groups, which is critical.
Just a heads up in case anyone hasn't voted on the item, the vote closes at 8:40.
I had a question I was going to give back to board member Magnano. She just actually answered that question, so we took care of that question during our discussion. I wanted to come back to something that shared with Dr. Shelton really quickly. And thank you so much. It was I took down some other notes, but when I hear language like humble, curious, empowered, and encouragement, and clearly through these social justice standards, it empowers me to hear those kinds of words. So I do appreciate that. So one of my questions was really kind of related to the fact that math is more than just a bunch of numbers. Math skills are relevant in our everyday lives. Research kind of shows it's an indicator of how successful people will be. And that when folks pass Algebra 1 by their 9th grade, they're more likely to earn a bachelor's degree, go on to a solid career. And when they don't, they have a 1 in 5 chance of graduating in high school. So it's critical that students build that foundation in math, as Dr. Shelton had described, but many don't. It sounds like we're doing a really good job with respect to that. But that's not because students can't keep up with what's being taught in class, but instead because of what's being taught in class hasn't kept up with the student, which is similar to what Dr. Shelton was describing. And so there have been some revisions of the 2023 California Mathematics Framework to California. And I was hoping that you might just share some of your thoughts on that in terms of mathematics and relatability and things like that.
Thank you. That's been a topic for a lot of people. So I always carry something or write something down because I think it's key that people understand that we have a progressive school board that was thinking ahead in regards to what happened in 2013. We started doing some of these progressive approaches earlier, specifically at the high school. You know, first of all, I want people to understand the math framework that the state is doing is a guide. It's not a mandate. So however, instructional materials and state assessments all relate to that, but it is not a mandate. It's just a guide. And the great part about our district, what we did was in our sites, we've been addressing equity and engagement for some time now. So when they're talking about the new math standards or whatever it may be that they have placed there, we were already doing that. What we were also doing is we were looking at the framework to change how we were providing instruction. Are we there yet? No. We have work to do as we approach what's going on. We are developing a toolkit to support our teachers in the classroom. I can tell you just yesterday, our math coordinator was working with our teachers at Samo High doing walkthroughs, which we call learning walks, to look at and reflect on the instruction that is provided. As I said before, one of the key things about instruction is oftentimes you need to see what you are doing as the educator to change the practices that you do as an educator. So it's the reflection. And that's what was happening yesterday at Samo. So that we need to get out of the way of the student. Oftentimes there are assumptions around what a student knows until we step back, provide a question, and allow them to engage in the group. And as they collaborate, they begin to learn. A big point of contention with this framework is the high school pathway. Santa Monica Malibu has kept the traditional pathway, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. As I said before, we try to get all of our kids up to calculus. Now, a student like me, I would have been like, oh, no, I don't want to go to calculus. Give me some other option. When I was in high school, my option was probability and statistics. Sounds great. No, but it worked for me. I understood what I was doing. And that is what we have given kids who may not love math, the fourth option. I always encourage our kids, and it was a requirement that when they get to high school, that you have Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. And we also offered an opportunity for Intro to Data Science in their fourth year to give kids 4 years of math, which actually allows them a better transition to college if they choose to go to college or if they choose to go to a career in technical education. But our goal is to ultimately get our kids to calculus. As I said before, we offer all the way down to 8th grade, 7th grade geometry and Algebra 1. So a kid can start there and ultimately, if they want to, get to multivariable calculus. It's so high, I can't even say it. So I want people to know this is not, we do offer Intro to Data Science, but it's not a pathway. It's an option, it's an elective for our students, and all students are required to try to pass Algebra 2. If they don't pass it, take it in the summer. If they don't pass it, they take it again in their senior year, because we believe in that pathway. It is a traditional pathway, and we do give support and opportunities for kids to get 4 years of math.
Great. Anybody? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Shelton. It is it's something that I won't just say it's kind of near and dear to my heart, but there are a number of folks, professors, philanthropists, such as Bill Gates. They really recognize that personalizing math to students regarding their respective interests is really, really critical, and prioritizing that interaction by encouraging students to talk through the problem solving, et cetera, doing that out loud to collaborate, that can build confidence, and applying that to complex real world problems. And so that's another example of how Santa Monica Malibu is truly continuing to lead by example. So thank you for sharing that. Board member Mignano, Lisa, we were talking about cybersecurity, and it's a kind of a daily worry for a host of institutions, public and private, nonprofits, healthcare, finance, education. So proper cyber protocol strategy implementation can be costly and complex from an interoperability standpoint. So this can leave some groups vulnerable to intrusion, and hopefully you can share some of the challenges faced by the district related to cybersecurity and plans to protect the district from hackers, especially since we unfortunately just upgraded that.
Yes, I think you must be referring to $3 million. Yes. So yes, unfortunately, our school district was targeted, and we were the victims of a fraud. Luckily for us, we were able to recuperate most of that money because our staff acted quickly, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and the local Santa Monica Police Department were involved. It is still an ongoing investigation, and our district has released an official statement. It's on the website, so I encourage everyone to look that up on our website. I have to say that this is a threat to school districts across our country. I was very happy that on March 15th, my colleague Jennifer Smith, who's also on the board, we were able to meet with our assembly member Rick Chavez Spur to ask that support Assembly Bill 1023. Like I said, we know that districts are being targeted, cybersecurity threats, ransomware attacks, and from bad faith actors. And so we really need state and federal government. And I do believe that that bill was passed and signed by the governor, Governor Gavin Newsom. So I'm happy to hear that this is an area of concern, and school districts, we're about educating kids, and so now we have to deal with this, and so we need help. That's thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Board Member Reynano. And again, Sharon, glad to get that you were able to get some members to board support in terms of where can school districts across the state, across the country, get more support in this kind of most concerning area. So let's go back to you, Sarah. And housing unaffordability is a statewide issue. Cost of housing really has a chilling effect on those in the educator family. Teachers, counselors, aides, janitors, principals, other administrators, requiring folks to live far away from where they work. And this 1.5 to 2 hour commutes are not only expensive, but they're tiring. People could be exhausted before they even show up on campus. So this fatigue is truly not in the best interest of the student population. So can you kind of share with us perhaps your perspective, or Caden's perspective, or Children's Caucus perspective on trying to incentivize perhaps the development of more workforce housing for the K-12 team?
Well, let me just clarify that the caucuses within the California Democratic Party are subservient to the party itself. So the party has a process for making formal endorsements of individual candidates and also propositions and the rest of it. That doesn't stop people from expressing their opinions. As a personal person, when I take off my children's caucus hat and put him on my personal one, I'm very supportive of the Renters' Rights initiative that Susan Shannon was talking about before. I think we were the first one. I was an early supporter of that, but excuse me for saying like we were one of the first ones because we have no authority to do that on the children's caucus. So I have to be careful in what I'm speaking about as them, because you're kind of careful to label me that way. I would say that we are concerned with children's issues. Children school districts have assets that they hold in the names of children. So when you're talking about these larger, bigger societal issues and problems, they are absolutely, I couldn't agree more, directly relevant and important to children and their facility to learn and capacity to learn, and the notion of learning something when you're homeless is just beyond my ken. So I agree, these are critical. I would urge school trustees to hold in mind the notion of where their children's assets are. Land is important, it is valuable, and money and resources to educate our children well are critical. And I would urge persons to be careful about giving those assets up, particularly in pursuit of large societal problems that are complicated with many multifactorial inputs. And quickly going to make a quick fix on the back of our children's assets sounds something nervous making to me personally. That's not Kadem's position.
Okay, thank you. It was maybe it should have said not Kadem, but more the party, perhaps, in some respects. We're almost at time. 2 more questions, perhaps. Be done. Okay. Let's see. So let's go to Nicole. We had a very interesting conversation. Thanks again. It was wonderful to have coffee. Some would say that if a student is struggling, getting help for them earlier rather than later would be a positive outcome. However, often parents may not know where their kids are on their academic journey until much later, and then the kids are behind even more. So there are a number of tools to help parents perhaps try and get up to speed, software tools, etc. The district, I still believe, is using Aries. So I'm curious, how would you describe parents' comfort level and competency in interacting with Aries, and how can we help parents maximize an Aries tool related to their students' educational journey?
So it's a little complicated. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with, I think, parent engagement and parent involvement. Parents do need support. We work with our teachers, our schools, in the children's, the students' academic journey. We're given areas to use, and that is a very good tool if you can access it. Their parents, and it's gotten a little bit better, I think, after COVID, since kids have Chromebooks now, pretty much we're one-to-one in this district. But there's still a little bit of a lag, and parents need a little support to figure that out. Sometimes it's getting the letter through the snail mail about if your child is really struggling academically. Sometimes it's just too late. I feel like if there was a way to communicate better, and I think that from my experience at the high school, they're really working hard. The teachers are working hard to stay up to date on their grading, inputting information into Aries, so that parents and children and the students can see where they stand. But it's not always clear, and it would be helpful to have a little more parent support for the use of the Aries system.
Right.
Yeah, I would say something actually it's very true. There is a digital divide. We have a wide range of needs, and some of our parents need more help to access the tools that we have in our district. And so I'm glad to say that some of our staff members are working on putting out a parent academy, and it'll be for in English and in Spanish. And we are trying to best utilize the resources that we have. And I know that Aries have now rolled our elementary school parents are now able to see Aries as well. So that is very, very helpful, but more news to come on that Parent Academy. And yes.
Great. Thank you so much. Last question goes to the superintendent, of course. I'm lucky you. And I know that you did describe English language learners and the incredible work that the district is continuing to do. And we're again speaking to how Dr. Mora and all of her wonderful state who's helping to present the foundation for young folks to get reclassified. This question came through the digital question from membership. And there was an English learners question, and there was also a question about kind of strategy for addressing the achievement of African American students that sometimes maybe feel less academic competence and support from faculty in certain things. Can you address that a little bit?
Yes. First of all, one of the things I think, go back to the beginning of what I talked about. Adopting the social justice standards starts that process by making sure people understanding others' cultural aspects and their background, their roots of who they are, and valuing that. Oftentimes we have to teach adults how to do that before they engage. We also have to make sure that families understand what's accessible and available through communication in any language that they are coming to us with. And through DEI, through the diversity, equity, and inclusion and that work, we can create that sense of belonging. If a group of people feel disenfranchised and not connected, it's very difficult to do work with them. There are some foundational pieces that we have started to be more aggressive about this year with our students to make sure that they have that connection. Another piece of this occurs when we're talking about our writings, our readings, our work that we're doing with our curriculum and the content in which we're teaching. It has to be relative to our student. If it doesn't look like them, it's very difficult to connect them. It goes also back to our staffing. If the person that I'm working with or the teacher that stands in front of me does not connect to me or ethnically, it's a very difficult sometimes for a student to connect in those ways. It's starting there, and it starts with our teachers. It starts with our paraeducators. And then what we have to do is look at our curriculum and see how that curriculum, is it viable, which I believe our curriculum is viable, and it's getting better every day. The standards are viable. And what happens is as you do all of these little things, everything else will come up. You have to meet the needs at the bottom first, and then you can start talking about the academics. If you're not meeting the students' needs when they walk in the door, it's very difficult to meet their academic needs. And that's the first piece that we have to get through. We have to train our teachers to be more open. As we talked today in our district leadership team meeting where there were teachers and assistant principals, it was when you're taught a particular way when you go to teachers college, it's what you understand. It's difficult to change that mode when you had that same mode when you were in high school or in elementary school. And now we're trying to get people out of this box to allow students to collaborate, have conversations, change their mode of thinking. And then we can bring up the academic. We can close an achievement gap if kids feel connected, if teachers feel prepared, if teachers understand what it is that they come to the classroom to do, and they're given the tools and professional development. If we only wrap services around our students and we don't wrap services around our teachers, there's a disconnect. And also our parents have to be included in this relationship, because if they're not included, it goes back to the communication. How do we get people to look at areas if we don't train them how to look at areas? And that's the grading system. The other part of this is we've started doing a great job around a good job. We're not great yet, a good job around our EL and reclassification of students. The next phase that has to occur is what do we do after the students reclassify? There are interventions and supports that have to occur for us to meet the challenge that's placed before our students. And then that's preparation once again with our teachers to engage them in the conversations that are necessary to grow our students from being reclassified to maintaining that. Because you can tout a number of being reclassified and ELs are doing great, but yet if you don't give them the proper interventions and supports after the reclassification occurs, then it's for nothing. Because they go right back down and they begin, and this is, I know, what you are all about, but they go right back to the stage. And all I said before, it pertains to our African-American students as well. Because in our population, if we don't reach the kids where they are when they come into the space, we'll never get there. It's a collective effort. And these pieces of, when I say DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, when I talk about social justice standards, all of that intertwines. Those are foundational pieces that have to be in place to support the outcomes that we need to be. I know you want to say something.
No, I think we're
okay.
I see the timer over there.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Shelton, Board Member Miano, Ms. Ferries, Bruce. Thank you so much for participating in this Santa Monica Democratic Club education panel. Truly a focus on human-centered design and student-centered thinking. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, we're having unexpectedly having to wrap up early, but we do have the results in, so I'm going to share that right now. Of our vote. And the results are 71% yes to postpone the resolution until January 31st, and 29% to bring it up tonight. So we are going to come back to this topic. We're not done with this yet. We'll be back in January to discuss it. Before we go, just a quick reminder that the next meeting will be November 15th here in the Thelma Terry Center, the district attorney candidates. And finally, folks, we're going to adjourn tonight in memory of a member of the Santa Monica Democratic Club who passed away, sadly, this week, Kimball DeLeon. He is an activist from the Antelope Valley. He was a big leader in helping us flip the 25th district, it was called, to Katy Hill. And then since then, now called the 27th district for the Christy Smith campaign, 3 cycles in a row. He was also a member of our D&I committee, diversity and inclusion, and he attended all of those meetings back when we had the monthly D&I meetings. So even though he was all the way up in Santa Clarita area, he was an active member here in Santa Monica Democratic Club in the West Side, and we're really going to miss partnering with him in that district. So thanks everybody for being here, and let's please respect the facilities here and head out as quickly as we possibly can. And thanks everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Not allowed to go over to that's why. No, thank you.
And we will be bringing back the clean airs in the school issue in January. It will come back on our agenda. It is not lost.
Right. So we'll be back to discuss that soon. All right. Thanks, guys. See you then. I'll see you,
John.
again next month.